It's Lil Baby.
All right, we good though, right? Let's fucking do it. Welcome to episode 12 of Conversations with Chai. Today I have with me, works on the biggest podcast. I have my man directing his own movie as well.
Starring in it.
Starring in it. Oh, I got with me my guy Shubh Nanda.
And thank you, man. Thank you for having me on.
Yo, appreciate you. I don't even want to waste time because I was having such a good talk with you before we had to go do this little intro. Dude, tell me, because you get to see like the best do what they do every day, right? And obviously you're a part of that team, and like the clips, everything, like that's you, right?
Some of them, yes.
Yo, tell me, for everybody listening, like, what does it take? Like, do you like? Let me guide this question a little. Let me guide this question a little bit. Like, when you see like the average everyday person, because everybody has a podcast, everybody has access to the camera, studios. Obviously different levels to it, right? But what do you see as like the biggest difference between the level that like Flagrant.2 is operating at and the field? Let's just call it.
Yeah, man. Of course. Like, I think the best example is this studio right here, right? Like, this is a product of what Flagrant brought. It's Alex's studio. Alex is on Flagrant.
Mm-hmm.
He started off as the main producer on Flagrant, eventually branched off into creating his own space. And you see it, like, within a year, he started dominating the podcast space. Like, this is the premier place to come if you want to do a podcast in New York. And that's a testament to, the levels at which we work with at Flagrant. Everyone that's working over there is just at the top of their game, always. And what helps is they're just all really nice guys. Like, they're awesome guys. They're great to hang out with. Every single one of them has their own skill set that like matches everyone up in a different way. Everyone brings something to the table. So it's it's impossible not to enjoy working there.
Yeah, and I think that's why it's like hard for me to think about like Alex, Andrew, Aakash as these like amazing executors, right? Because they're such like comedians, chill personality, right? But you never, but obviously all of that takes like so much like real work, right? Like Aakash, right? Andrew, Alex, y'all have to drive like real decisions, right? Because it is such a big business too.
I mean, I remember, dude, like, so within 3 months of me joining Flagrant, they gave me the keys to the Clips channel.
Okay.
And that's a channel, that had like 300,000 subscribers. This is the biggest platform I've ever seen in my life at this point.
Yeah.
I'm coming right out of college. Like, I had no idea what to do. And now I have the keys to this empire.
Have you worked on anything prior to like even like semi that scale?
Nothing close to that. I mean, I'd worked at production companies doing like development internships with like pre-production stuff for like big movies and such. Right before working for Flagrant, I worked at this company called Shiv Hunts Pictures, and they have a movie cooking up right now with Steven Yeun and Kristen Stewart. It's a really cool movie. It's about robots, and it's post-apocalyptic. And I'm probably not allowed to say that because of an NDA, but it'll be out soon. This strike just over.
Yeah. That's huge, right? That's
awesome.
Huge.
Yeah, no, it's really, really cool to see that.
Yeah.
But IATSE has negotiations in the summer, so we'll see what happens over there.
No, so you got the keys, 300,000 channels.
Keys.
Yo, Shubh, you own this now.
Keys to the Clips channel, and I was like, oh shit, I have to make these decisions now, which go out broadcast to a huge audience. Like, everything is on me. I choose the thumbnail. I make it. I have to come up with the title, make sure that I reach a certain amount of views per month and stuff. So being able to do that at such a young age and like right off the bat has been such a great learning experience, because it's like how I learned how to swim.
Yeah.
My dad just took me and threw me into the deep end.
And then you just like learn, right? And I think that's why it's like cool, because like when you get thrown into it, you have no other option but to figure it out, right? Like kind of like, again, getting thrown in the water and like, yo, go swim, right? Because you have to, because like if you're thinking about like just what you do, right? Like the Clips channel.
Yeah.
That's gonna, how you clip it is gonna impact Andrew. It's gonna impact Aakash. It's gonna impact the brand, and those are like huge multi-million-dollar brands too, right? Like that, and like it is like a lot of pressure out of, especially like you said, you're 23 now, right?
Yeah.
Like at such a young age, but that's like the level of responsibility, and we don't get, because I get like I have the corporate experience too, right? So you never feel like, because there's so many checks and balances, right? In any big corporate company, there's so many checks and balances. So you make sure like, okay, but you have the keys to like, yo, like this is it is like a lot of pressure to face.
Yeah, and that pressure just started to increase. I took over Brilliant Idiots, the whole YouTube side for that, in January. So I've just come about a year now on managing all of that. So the pressure piles on, but at the same time, the enjoyment piles on. Being involved in all of these things, being able to work with such immense figures of
Titans.
yeah, it's just
Titans.
huge. Like I get to see Charlemagne the God once a week, and that guy is such an inspiration for everyone in this field. Like he's at the top of his game, clearly.
Yeah, no, and that I think is like one of like has to be the most awesome experiences for you, right? Because you really get to see like guys like not only at the top of like obviously now at the top of their game, but like real legacy wise, like like pioneers, trailblazers, whatever you want to call them. Obviously, Charlemagne's
just sold out Madison Square Garden,
dude,
twice.
Bro, the rollout for that was beautiful. Like,
Right.
bro,
All credit
chef's
to
kiss.
Vala, Andrew, the people that worked on it. Casey Neistat did a video. Vala made a beautiful video, and Shifty with all the videography and the tour stuff. These guys, I'm telling you, these guys are the best in the business at what they do.
Bro, and like Andrew's storytelling ability, like obviously he's like a comic, right? And people always talk about like how good like Chappelle's storytelling is, but man, the way that Andrew's able to like deliver like narratives, right? Like I think about like his COVID clips a lot.
Yeah,
right? Like the turn the screen, and I'm all like, yo, the way in that time, how he navigated that's when I started looking at, because I think like my like perception of Schulz is like comedy, whatever. But then like when he started executing at like that level, I was just like, holy shit, right?
Yeah.
Like, and the stuff with the MSG with his like dad, and I was like, holy shit, like this is why he's able to sell out an MSG.
Yeah. He's that guy, dude. He knows how to sell a story. He knows how to tell a story. Selling a story is easy when it's that good.
Yeah.
And he's, for me, one of the greatest comedians of all time, an inspiration for my own stuff. But his greatest genius, I think, is his marketing. Like the way he's able to weave a story and sell himself, and be able to do it time and time again, go up against the titans of the industry, change the way things are done. I haven't seen anything like that before.
Yeah, no, for sure. And so like talk to me about that, right? Because I'm assuming he's a marketing genius, and some of those decisions have to be him, right? Like, do you kind of see that in like the way that like your team operates, right? Like, do y'all know like, hey, we got to hit on this, right? Or hey, like we're gonna go with like this immediately as it's happening like live? How tactical are like those decisions?
I mean, like I can tell you from my experience, I don't really work on the stand-up or the tour as much.
Yeah, no, but even for Flagrant too, right?
Yeah, no, of course. But like, if I'm working on a clip, right? Like I'm working on a social clip, putting it out vertical, nice 1 minute for YouTube Shorts, TikTok, all that kind of stuff. I'll send him a draft, and then he'll send me notes. And I have not experienced a single time where those notes have been wrong. He knows exactly what anything needs because he's got such a meticulous eye for detail. Something that he works really hard towards, something that we work really hard towards emulating. And he knows exactly what it is that it needs.
That's gonna hit.
That's a testament to his experience, right? He's been doing it for so long, and he's just the best at it.
And I think that's what like sometimes like people like take away from like probably like his journey, right? Because I'm sure like people associate with like, oh, he did like Guy Code, then he did comedy, right? But people don't realize like how good like we're watching like a master at work at like what he does, like at the top of his craft, right? Like I can't think of like somebody like more like culturally like relevant, especially to like New York, than Schulz like right now in his field, right? Like insane.
Did you grow up in New York? You grew up in New Jersey, right?
Yeah.
And were you like permeated with New York culture at all when you were growing up?
Yeah. Like I have like so much like family like in Queens. Like I spent a lot of my youth like in Astoria, like a lot of my youth, probably more than I should have at that age. So I always just kind of had like an affinity for like these things. Like I've like gotten to see like brands that like I like loved at like a young age now become like international powerhouses.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it's like really exciting for me to see it happen now live with like another generation, right? Like I got to see like the growth of like Kith and Ame from like,
oh, that's awesome.
It's like a New York thing too. Kith and Ame as like, international, national brands, right? Like I got to see, Flagrant too, like they had a third guest like way back when, right?
Yeah, Kaz, yeah.
It was Kaz, right? Yeah. And I like watched it from there, and then I like probably fell off on it a little bit, and then when I saw like the rebrand, right? And I was like, oh shit. And then you see Schulz do his thing, and it like all kind of fired together in such a perfect way. We're like, bro, Aakash for like South Asian star.
Let's talk about Aakash for a second. This man is so good at what he does in terms of like stand-up podcasting. He's been so awesome to me as well, because brown people, we help each other.
Yeah.
That's what we're told to do. And he's given me a couple spots in his shows, and he takes me out to clubs, and he introduces me to other comics, and he's been so instrumental in making me feel at home at work, as well as like, obviously all the guys are awesome, like I mentioned, but with Aakash and even Vala to some extent, he's Pakistani, so we got a little
bit.
But nah,
it's all love. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like when because
it's all love, and we love each other, and Miles calls us the 3 wickets.
Yeah.
Right. Like one for each.
Yeah.
Cricket reference, but it's he's so great at just bringing you into his world and being able to help you without even asking for it. Like he just comes up to you and he's like, "Oh, how can I help?" That's just what he is.
Yeah. Yo, it's crazy. And like, like you're a part of it, like as much as like everybody, right? Because like it's crazy to see like how many like lives like that, like Schulz and like them are like changing. Because like, bro, like he's turning, like obviously Alex is Alex, right? Turning Alex into a star, turning Mark into a star,
Alex
right?
Was always a star. Mark was always
a star, right? But like it's crazy how Schulz came up with like his day, like almost his day ones. Because you see a lot of podcasts and a lot of people get big where like their team starts to falter, right? Because like, now there's money involved and there's like a bunch of other stuff. So there's like, like it really tests your relationship, right? Like as you build this thing, right? Like these are your friends, but they're also like, like we're doing this, right? And that's like very hard to like navigate. And I'm sure that's like a testament again to like Schulz's character, Aakash's character, Alex's character, Mark's character, right? The fact that y'all able to keep this band like together, right? Like that in itself is an impressive feat.
And you have to mention the guys behind the camera as well.
Yeah.
I've never seen someone work as hard on, ensuring a quality product like Miles. Miles is the producer in Flagrant. He's the point guard. Everything goes through him. And he's so dedicated to what he does. And it's really all credit to him. He snuck me in. Like I wasn't supposed to be working at Flagrant.
Really?
Yeah, he needed some help, and he snuck me in through the back door, and then all of a sudden I was there,
It's like, I work at Flagrant.
I used to fall asleep listening to Flagrant in 2018-19. Like that's where I used to be. Like I used to listen to them every week religiously, Patreon. I wouldn't ask questions because I never like was like, I don't know what to ask them. I would stumble.
Yeah.
I would start to record. But then to be able to go and work there now is just...
Oh, so you've been a Flagrant fan. That is so sick. Like that is so sick to hear, because it's crazy how like the world and the universe and like really works out, right? Like you always... That's so sick. That's absolutely insane.
You
like
believe in yourself, dude.
No,
you just gotta believe in yourself. Like that. I mean, it sounds corny, but like that's all it is.
Do you feel like you had that? Like I think about that sometimes, and I think about that from like a point of like, am I crazy? Because sometimes like self-belief, like my inner voice tells me my self-belief is crazy. Did you ever feel like, did you have like a high level of self-belief? Like, I can do that?
I do, but I also have a very high level of self-doubt. So, they cancel each other out a lot. But being able to work here, I think the first day I went to Flagrant, March 2022, I think. I was walking to the old studio in Brooklyn, and I took one step onto the road and a car whizzed right past me. So I thought I was going to die. Like that was very close. But the fact that I didn't, testament to God and whatever else is out there, that's what made me truly believe that, okay, no, I'm here for a reason. This is going to work out. I just have to keep my head down and grind.
I think, it's this conversation to me could not have happened at like a better time. Like I need to hear things like that. My therapist like really told me this. She was like, you need to hang out with more people that are trying to do and build what you're trying to do and build, because they all probably share these moments that feel crazy to you because of the circles that like you're in.
Right.
Because she's like, like you're so used to, because we were talking about it from like a timeline perspective and all of that, right? But like think about it, in the fields that we're in, 23, 27, like that's all like young, right? Still, like you're still, like your dad said, like you're still in residency, you're still in med school.
Yeah, this is med school, dude.
Yeah, like this is med school. Like I'm supposed to still be like figuring it out, right? Because in this craft, I'm still a fucking rookie.
It takes your 10,000 hours. You just have to sit down and grind. Like that's what I'm slowly learning as well, right? Like when you're a kid, you want to be this writer because it's like, oh yeah, no, I'm gonna go to a cafe and like, stare at pretty girls and then write the right things, and people are gonna come to me and be like, oh wow, you wrote such smart things. Growing up, I'm starting to realize now, no, it's the craft that I love. It's the sitting down aspect. It's the thinking about it. It's the talking with my business partner Vinay, and like he's my writing partner as well. We sat down, we busted out a script last weekend for a short, and we're gonna try to perfect that and make it now. That's our next project.
Dude,
that's just kind of what we want to do. We just want to sit, create.
Yo, I cannot tell you, like, it's so refreshing. Again, like, I need more of these convos, like, with like people like you, right? Like, that's why I love doing this, because like I absolutely believe that. Like, I think that like everybody's journey. I think I've always been a creator, and I think if you like follow like my like life, right? I've always been creating at something, right? Whether that's writing a book or trying to write a book. But again, what you were talking about, I feel like I used to do it from like a place of ego, right? I wanted it for the money. I wanted it for the fame. I wanted it for the recognition, right? But now as I'm older, I'm all like, yo, I'm spending money on this. I'm not getting recognition, right? Oh, I just absolutely love this thing.
Yep.
Like, that's all it is, right? Because otherwise, why else am I doing it, right?
What are you working on right now?
Dude, this.
Yeah?
This for me, like, this is like my baby. Like, I love this thing. Like, I like love this thing to a degree where it's like, yo, like, this is like my favorite thing to do. Like, this is what this is how I build out my weeks. Like, depending on what's going on here, like, this is what I'm building out, because I love being able to sit down to talk to you, right? Like, I love building this product, right? Like, I love also like the messaging. Like, I think more people need to hear people like you who are not have made it, but have done it.
No, of course. And even then, I've not done shit, dude. I'm
day one, right? Day one.
Exactly. This is the beginning. I'm still on Mount Stupid. Are you familiar with the Dunning-Kruger effect?
No.
It's that psychological graph, like where you start off, you think you know everything about something, and then you start to learn a bit about it, and you realize that you're just on the top of Mount Stupid. And you have this fall into the valley of despair when you have to come to terms with the fact that you don't really know as much as you thought you did. And that's when you start to truly learn. Right. And that's where I'm at. Like, I'm starting now to like truly feel that, oh, okay, this is something that I need to learn before I can.
Yeah, like absolutely. Because I thought, even starting this, I thought, you know what? I've done 2 podcasts before. I failed at them. Like, I have enough knowledge on what this is going to take this time. I really thought that when I like, before I like launched this like a month or plus ago, right? I really thought, I was like, yo, I think I have it figured out. I think I know exactly how this is going to go, right? And it didn't go exactly how it was. It went absolutely different, right? Because I finally, as I'm doing it, I'm like, oh, I thought I knew what it took. But you don't have any idea of that until you're actually having to do it, right? Like, until you realize, like, oh, no. There's so much game. Like, talking to talking to a Wolf, right? Like, so much game, and even the podcasting space, which I thought that I was super privy to. Like, I thought I just like.
Let's talk about it then. Like, what are your goals with this podcast? Where do you see this going? What are you doing right now? What do you think what are you experimenting with? Where do you want it to go? All of that stuff. Like, let's get into the good stuff.
Yo, so my value prop for this, and like I'm just bullish on like the people that I have here. Like, this is like I don't think like I'm a star, right? But I think everybody I have on, right? I see like real potential in where they are. Bro, you're 23, working for the biggest podcast in the world. We talked about this before. Where are you in 5 years? Like, you're not going to stop.
I mean, hopefully I'm not back home. That's the thing.
No, but bro, let's not like joke around, right? Like, actually, like, you're like somebody, like, you could have easily been like, yo, you know what? I work for the biggest podcast like in the world, right? Let me just chill here. You could have done that, but you're not going to do that. Like, that's just not who you are. So like, then it gets me thinking, okay, where is he in 5 years? And then it gets me thinking, like, everybody around here, right? Like, yo, where's Ani in 5 years, right? Like, where are these people in 5 years that I'm having on? Because currently they're still crushing. But what does that crush look like 5 years? Exponential, hopefully, growth? I don't know. And that's what's exciting to me. So like, in terms of like goals, is to see this, is to see y'all work.
Well, I mean, you mentioned Ani. Shout out to Ani. Kolkata Chai Company. If you want to do something, let us know.
Yeah. I need to be like looking out. Like, I can't even say it on this.
Happy to work with you. Me and Vinay will cook something up for you.
Yeah. Yo, Ani hit him. Ani hit him not because Ani is one of the realest. But like that's what gets me exciting, right?
Yeah.
The fact that like you're willing to have this conversation, right? The fact that like Wolf is willing to throw me the alley oop and be like, you should have this convo, right? Like that's what excites the fuck out of me, right? Like this shit is like really like my lifeblood. Like
it's not coming together, dude. And I like this as well because I like having the chance to talk. I just like talking.
No, and that's like the most fun part, right? Like, because people, I'm just like, like these conversations, like the conversation with you, I think it's so much a game that you have that, because there's like a couple Shubhs down the line. There's like 3 or 4 kids right now that are probably in their room.
Shubh up the line, dude. I don't know if you heard of the Punjabi rapper Shubh Worldwide. Like,
nah,
that guy.
Put me on, yeah?
Dude, he's awesome. He's the best. But every time someone posts like music with him, I'm just like, oh, thanks for listening to my album. I hope you liked it.
No.
Shubh Worldwide, I'm Shubh Domestic.
Oh, wait. I was like, he's making me laugh. I was not comedian. Like, comedian too. Like, I contacted, Serbi?
Mm-hmm. I used to work on Serbi's podcast, First World Problematic.
That's so crazy because she actually said that and I forgot it, and then Wolf brought you up and then I was like, wait, is it the same Shubh? Yeah, actually makes sense. No, so she was we were just talking about like the New York City comedy scene. Like I'm assuming like you're at work, you're like working too, right?
Trying to get there,
yeah. Any like favorite New York City like club to play or have played so far?
I mean, the best time I've ever had playing a club was Gotham. I was lucky to do a new talent showcase there a couple months ago, so that was really nice. They had me on. The booker asked me to come in as a guest spot, and the club is beautiful and there's so much history to it as well.
Yeah.
But I'm just trying to make my way up to do clubs as much as I can. Me and my friend Bo, we have a show that we do monthly. Our venue just shut down, but we're looking for a new one, and hopefully we'll be back on it.
Yeah.
And the best part about comedy really is like getting to meet all these people that I would never met before in my life. Like, there's so many people that come to New York to achieve their dreams, and had they not had that inkling, we would have never crossed paths.
Yeah.
And
or if you didn't have that inkling,
or if I didn't have that inkling, exactly. Yeah. And that as an experience is just so fascinating to me. Like, you're crossing paths with all these people from various places. There's housewives from down south that decided that they weren't interested in living that life anymore, come up here, start to do comedy. There's people who were doing comedy in their small towns and decided they were too big of a fish for the small pond. Now they're here and they're struggling because this is the ocean. All of these stories are so interesting to me, and comedy is like one unique space where you can really explore those.
I'm so glad I get to do this. Like, one of the biggest benefits for me in doing this is that I get to have these conversations and remember there's alternative lives out there. Because I think like from where I'm from, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I think and because I still hang out with like a lot of people from where I'm from, there's a lot of like, okay, like I'm not where I gotta be yet, right? In the sense of like other aspects, right? Like they're like married, kids, whatever, right? And I'd be thinking like, damn, I'm 27 and I'm still
you want that?
Building this. I think I have to accept that I don't.
You don't want marriage and you don't...
No, I do. But I think I want this more.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Like that lifestyle, like that's what I always like. My therapist was telling me this. She was just like, yo, you keep saying that like, oh, what if you had that life? You've proven time and time again in the last like 7 years since college that you do not want that life. Because every decision you've done has been the opposite of that life. If you really wanted to just save money, get married, buy a house, have a kid, you would have just done that. But you have to accept that. Like and she's like, that's like the part that you're not doing, right? Yeah. You're still on this, like, because you're still choosing to go live that life.
It's the American dream and the American daydream, right? Like, you can settle into the status quo and really just live a decent middle class life, and that's a beautiful life.
Yeah.
You get fulfillment out of your family, you get fulfillment out of your friends, and maybe even your work. Some people are lucky enough to do that, but we're lucky enough to be pursuing this passion that fills us up from the inside in a way that I can't imagine anything else would. So that's awesome.
I think it is something that's very tough for me to like accept. Because like I agree, because like it's like, yo, we all pick different lives, right? Like all of us like walking this earth, we all pick very different lives, right? Like as long as we have the ability to choose, obviously some of life is the circumstance, but we all still have like some level of choice on like what life we're going to settle down into, right?
Sure, yeah.
And like, and my biggest hope is that everyone is happy with the life that they ended up choosing. Like that's like the part that kind of makes me feel better about all of it.
Sure.
I was like, at least at like whatever age, I can look up and say like, you know what, I did exactly the things that I like wanted to do. Whatever the outcome result is, it was still all of my choices. Because I think the worst thing in the world is when you wake up at 40 and realize like, oh, like this is not like the life that I wanted at all. And some people are still able to change it and pivot and turn it around, right? Like those are stories too.
Testament to mental willpower and all that stuff. But like, I have a question for you. Where do you find the same kind of pleasure and stuff outside of this? Do you have any hobbies or do you have anything outside that you're... Because Schulz said something, there was a Patreon question that's going to be in an episode like a couple weeks from now that someone asked like, oh, do you have time for hobbies? Or like, no, what are your hobbies outside of, your work? And he just went, I don't have time for hobbies.
Who, Schulz said that?
Yeah. And that makes sense. He's like such a big star and stuff, but there is something to be said about that, the singular focus. How do you feel about that? Because I'm still trying to figure out right now if I want to have that singular focus and give up some aspects of my life that allow me to just kind of sit back.
It really depends. And what it depends on ends up being how big do you want to take this? Because think about it. What Schulz is saying is absolutely true. He don't have time. Why would he have time? He's the best at what he does.
Mm-hmm.
Like why do we think that this isn't like in any space that this isn't the most competitive thing like that you're going to do? If that is the goal, right? Like think about it. Like if we heard that like I don't know, like Tyson was fighting, right?
Sure.
But like Tyson didn't train worth shit. Tyson's a bad example, freak of nature, right? Let's just say that there's a UFC fight coming up, but we see the other one. He's like always in the club, right? But we know the other guy's training. Who's winning that fight? The guy who's is addicted to that.
I mean, unless it's John Jones, that's another.
But even him, bro, like freak of nature and probably works his ass off. Like I know people like highlight the other stuff because it's what you're prioritizing. Some of those like fighters might be like, hey, they might not have his vices. They're also not as talented, and they're probably focusing on something else that's not the vices, right?
Fair enough.
But like, I think to answer your question, it depends. What level do you want to take this? If this is going to be your thing and you want to be the top of your field, you got to give up stuff.
Yeah.
That's life. That's sacrifice. Like you have to give up stuff. You cannot like some people say, oh, I can have it all. You're giving up something. It's not all, right? Like you may have the wife and the career. You might have the kids and the podcast, right? But you are not. It's going to be very tough to have it all.
Right. Wolf, could you switch to me for a second? See, Mama, this is why I'm not calling you back. I'm busy chasing my dreams. I'll call you back, I promise. I will, I swear. I will, but I'm busy chasing my dreams. Sorry.
Bro, no, and like, he is. That's like the part that is going to be very hard for people to like realize. And I think like I'm having to like see this. Yeah. I like realize like I really prioritize my friends and family. I do. I still do. But if I prioritize my friends, I'm probably giving up some family. Like that's like a very hard like realization. Like this upcoming weekend, I have like 2 family things. Mm-hmm. Not family I'm super close to, but they are like my first cousins that I was close to at some time. And I'm just like, yo, sorry, guys, by the way, if y'all watching this, I can't come, right? But it's like, I have to make that decision, right? That is the sacrifice I'm making because I have to be here for a podcast. I have to be here because like I have this party that I have to go to for networking, whatever purposes, right? But that's going to happen. Think about it. You're 23. That's just going to happen more and more. And that's like the part that I don't even think we're comfy with, right? Sacrificing on the... Because it is stuff you love and care about, but that's the whole thing of sacrifice. If it was easy to make the sacrifice, everybody would do it. Everybody, if you hated your family, amazing, right? Because now you can just focus on this. But if you have love for your family, that's the sacrifice that you have, or whatever it is, right?
Makes sense. Yeah, I guess that's...
like,
no, I just had a
like that. You know what's funny? That's probably why a lot of creators are from like places or situations that aren't the best.
Yeah, that's
because they had nothing else to do but focus on the work.
That's crazy, but yeah, I mean, shit. I'm not gonna speak for them because I have been.
But it's tough. It's tough, right? Like
it adds up, dude. It tracks.
Yeah, like think about like when we think about like athletes that come from like specific areas, right? There's a reason, right? Like, bro, they're hustling to get out, right?
No, of course.
And that's like a part of it too. Like, I think that's where like South Asians, we're not as much in the creative space because some of us like most of our families like have like gotten semi-stabilized. You probably went to college, right? Like you were able to do those things. So we're in a very stable place. So now we have to give up stability.
Yeah.
You went to college, I'm assuming?
No, so it's awesome because my parents, very stable. They gave me pretty much the best childhood I could have imagined. And, you know, I've had access to every resource possible that was in their means. You know, they gave me everything I asked for. They helped me study and, you know, get to the best place for what I wanted to do. And they've supported me throughout this journey. You know, everything.
So you knew at a young age this is it.
Oh yeah, no. When my dad showed me Russell Peters when I was like 9 or 10, that's when I knew. Like that's
Really?
Yeah. And I've been doing this in school. Like I used to write plays in school. I was like the theater kid. You know, like that's where it started. I used to do lights, and then I started writing, and then I started directing, and then I even acted for a little bit, and like.
And your parents are fully supportive?
Oh yeah, fully. And that's the thing, right? You know, there's an element of stability that's required for you to be able to chase those dreams of instability, which I was very lucky to have. And, you know, had I grown up in a different circumstance, perhaps that would not have been so apparent. But to be able to have done that, and to be able to have parents, especially brown parents, that are so supportive of something like this, you know, it's truly bizarre almost.
That is so fire, yo. Like, mashallah, bro. Like, that is so fire that your like family is like that. Because I think like that's like a lot of things. I think like South Asians like kind of get like robbed of, right? Because like most of our, even from a good place, just want us to be stable. Like these creative pursuits end up being like a side project rather than like, yo, that is my thing. Like it's hard to look at any parent and be like, yo, yeah, I don't care about like all this other stuff, and I'm just gonna chase my creative like passion. Like that's tough, but it's amazing that your parents were like probably like super supportive of that, right?
Oh yeah, super supportive. They came to every play. You know, every kid has a story of like, oh yeah, my parents came to every basketball game. You know, they were at every. No, my parents came to every play. They were there at every single play. They sat front row. They laughed at every joke, even if they didn't get it. They're awesome.
Do they kind of get what you're kind of at now, like, or what you're doing now, like with Flagrant? Like they're like they understand like how.
I
like
brought my parents to the studio, man. That was awesome. Yeah, I got to sit them down. I'll send you the photo. Like they're just in the studio with the cameras on. Miles is in the back. We're switching. We're talking with them. They're hanging out. It was awesome.
That is so fire.
Everyone was so nice at the studio as well. They all, you know, chopped it up with them and stuff. So
no, amazing. Yo, I have a question. What are the episode turnaround times?
So for Flagrant, we do a Monday shoot and wrap around like 4 or 5 p.m. and then edit through the night until it's out the next morning.
You're turning around in a day?
Yep.
Fam, what? Yo, y'all are working. Wait, are you serious? You're turning around in a night?
Yeah.
Holy fucking
We have
shit.
some episodes that, luckily enough, you know, we get maybe the 4 or 5 days to edit. The Sean episode, I shouldn't say who, but some Sean. There is a Sean. I'm not going to say which Sean. There's an episode coming out next week.
Yeah, is it Sean O'Malley? Did I just ruin that? No, it's some Sean.
Bleep this, please. No, there's gonna be that episode's. We got a bit of time to edit that, so we have like a few days.
Yeah.
No, we take the episode from raw footage to processed audio, processed video, assets on screen, intro, clips, everything overnight.
Holy shit. Like that's, and yo, I want everybody who's listening to like appreciate like that is the like level of execution it takes, right? Like in an overnight, just being able to turn around this entire thing, like turn around all the clips, all the marketing, like all of it.
It helps, you know, it helps to have like a big team as well. You know, me, Miles, Shifty, sometimes Brandon comes in as well. You know, Tom Cassetta on audio, everyone. Oh, and dude, have I even mentioned Tom Cassetta? Tom Cassetta is
it's little baby.
He mixes every comedy special, and so he's, you know, he has like 25 plus years of sound experience. He's a genius. He's so passionate about sound. It's like scary, but he's awesome, and he's taught me everything I know about audio engineering as well. And like that's something that I probably wouldn't have had the chance to do outside of this. So.
Bro, like any operation like that, like you have to think like these are people that are all like, and we sometimes forget about them because we talk about like the level of like elite that like Schulz is, or the level of elite that Aakash is, right? But like everybody who's working behind the scenes, probably like the LeBron of their industry. Like they're probably really fucking good. Because why else? You know what I'm saying? Like why else would they be there?
I think I'd be more like a Drew Holiday.
Yeah, but you're working.
Yeah.
You're building out the career, right? Because at some point somebody's gonna look. You don't come out the league as Braun, right? Like you go to work for it, right? Like you create that. Like I think a lot of us like we never want to be the middle at anything, in the sense of like I don't want to say that I'm the middle of this, right?
Mhm.
But you have to, for you to say, yo, I'm the top of this mountain. I have to work to be at the top of this mountain. Like I have to prove that I'm the best sound engineer. I have to prove that I'm the best producer, right?
I mean, it's not up to me to say I'm the best at what I do. That's for other people to say. Like that's just always
Your
how
part
I
is
thought about
only
it.
the work.
Exactly.
Your part is only the work. And I think that's when you get around people like that, like the best sound engineer, right? They don't care. They're not in their head thinking like, yo, I'm the best sound engineer. Maybe, right? Maybe there's a little bit of that, but that's not the focus. The focus is, oh, I've got to make sure and I perform like the
focus is
best
how
sound
can I
engineer.
get better.
That is the focus.
That's the focus. It's always the focus. How can you get better?
And you become, back to the obsession question, right? It is a little bit of obsession because the guy who knows everything about sound engineering, he's constantly thinking about sound engineering, right? Like that's what they're constantly thinking about. Like Miles, right? Miles is probably just, I'm sure he's doing other stuff too, but probably just thinking about like Flagrant for a clock of his life.
Miles has a rule. He doesn't let anyone text him on Monday night.
Probably just thinking, how do I make this better? Like, think about it, because we're talking about like all the time that it takes to do all of these things, right? Yeah. And Schulz having to review the clips and having to do this. But we're also not talking about all the time it takes up here in the gray to go and think of any of these things or like execute any of those things or make this any better.
Yeah.
Because you're probably like, oh, you know what? We have like an intro clip. We have this. Our product is done. But that's never the attitude.
You know, when you see something and you're like, oh, that looks easy, that's the hardest thing to create, right? And that's what Flagrant has done. We've come to this point where everything is so streamlined and so effective that it makes it look easy from the outside, but everyone is putting in so much effort. Everyone from top to bottom.
Yeah, I think that's like the part that gets like lost in a lot of like watching these like huge brands, businesses be created. Mm-hmm. I think the average consumer thinks like, oh, it's so easy. They like just press a button and it happens. And you know, maybe somebody at the top is pressing the button, right?
I mean, look, AI is coming soon, and that's all that's gonna be. Bing, everything's done.
Maybe, yeah. That'd be awesome. That's the scary part. Like I think about it. Like AI, like I think is probably a little bit further away. But like our platform leverages like AI. Like I don't think put this out regularly without some sort of AI assistance. Like
you use AI to edit the pod?
Yeah.
So it's autopod and like you put it through, or what's the...
No, so like all of our like clippings for the most part, obviously like my amazing producer like Saz is like manually clipping a lot too based off of like the adjustments that I see. Sure. But like the AI is scripting it, the AI is clipping it. And bro, it gives you virality scores. Like again, I review because I feel like I have a better eye, but like that's just I'm sure that they will get better at that part of it, right?
Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah, but again, like y'all have to compete. Like this is what those people are thinking about, right? Like I'm sure Flagrant is thinking about like, yo, like how do I make this process even more efficient?
We every single day. And you know, that's a big part of our conversations. I'm not gonna give away the secret sauce, obviously.
Yeah.
But there's AI involvement now, you know, through the rise. Pretty much all of our thumbnails have Photoshop generative fill on them. So yeah.
And it's crazy. And I wonder, are you guys, or do you look at that as like, are you guys the standard setter for that? Because I think like every time something like goes big in podcasting, it kind of almost starts becoming to look standardized. And then somebody changes it a little bit and then it just heightens a little bit. I'm like thinking about something even as simple as like thumbnails, right? Like there's a very similar pattern in all of the thumbnailing that you see on YouTube clips that do go viral. Think about like naming conventions for YouTube videos, right? Like not that it's like a science, but there are people that have a pretty good understanding of how things are supposed to be. I'm sure your guys' team has a pretty good understanding of how that's supposed to be.
Mark is a YouTube savant. So he taught me everything I know about titling YouTube videos. He taught me all of his tips and tricks, and you know, ultimately, it really comes down to copywriting and rhetoric and that kind of stuff. But you have to know you get a sense of it over time, I think. Excuse me. Sorry. I don't know. Thumbnails. Look, there's certain things that you can do to improve clickability. But ultimately, it's all about the product, right? Like YouTube has built-in things to help you realize if something isn't a quality product. So if you click on something because the thumbnail is cool, but the video itself is just corny, you're going to click off. YouTube's going to record how long you watch that for, and it's going to base how much it recommends it based on that. So things like this, come into account. You have to keep them in check. But I'm lucky enough to be working at such a high level that we have access to reps on the platforms and stuff, and they help us out a lot. So shout out to them.
See, like something like that. That's just like such good game to like get. I had no idea. You know what I'm saying? Not a YouTube savant, right?
Retention, dude.
Huh?
Retention. You gotta
no,
retention.
But yeah, no, absolutely. No, and it makes sense intuitively. And I'm sure intuitively I would have got there because I look at it as like always like I'm trying to make my product better, right? So I'm sure at some point it would have been like it would have not organically happened, but I never would have intentionally tried to probably like do that, right? Where it's like, yo, of course retention matters, right? I think like hearing that like is just such an obvious thing, but it's also like, most people probably don't have that game, right? Like, why is my reel not going big?
Dude, titling shit. Like, if you just put my name in the title, it's not gonna get as much traction as if you put like Schultz's name, for example, right?
Yeah.
That's just because his name carries weight on YouTube because that's who he is. It's all these things, like you could title this "Conversations with Chai" featuring Shubh and how do you say your name?
Ihram.
Ihram, right?
Yeah.
Ihram. Shubh and Ihram, or you could like call it "Why There's War in the Middle East." And, that might get more traction.
Interesting. So does that let's kind of go. I want to like dive in just for my own game, right?
Yeah, of course.
Is that a titling thing, or is that also applied to like captions, or is it just a purely titling thing? By captions, I mean like the
Yeah, the metadata is important as well. Like
okay.
I heard a rumor once that what you title the file that you upload gets taken into account. I don't know if that was to make me stop titling files like butt fuck. Yeah, all of the stuff that you put or input on YouTube helps. What really helps YouTube is monetization. So once you get monetization, that's when YouTube has an incentive to start pushing your videos out because they're making money off you, right? And that's all this is. That's all every platform is. It's how much money we can make off you. So the second you're making money and the second they're making money off you and they see the potential for making more, they're going to keep pushing it.
I was listening to Joe Budden talk about it, right? Where he looks at like YouTube, Spotify, like all these like direct service providers as like, yo, that shouldn't be like your avenue to make money. That should be your marketing tactic because they're taking like the lion's share because it's their fucking company. It makes sense, right? Like YouTube should take the fucking lion's share. But I think the marketing aspect, like you have to be able to then sell something, right? And we see Flagrant do that so beautifully with, yo, we market it on YouTube. It's viral on YouTube. But then, yo, y'all come over here and pay for this Patreon.
Right, yeah.
Like it's fly being the top of YouTube, right? Like I'm sure that has its own benefit and it has some sort of financial impact, right? But like YouTube is taking most of like that revenue from like ads or what have you, right?
Sure.
So it ends up being, is your audience like real, right? Like you're just using this to market to your audience and market to a bigger audience because the audience is already naturally at YouTube.
If everything were to fall down and the YouTube channel were to get shut down, God forbid that ever happens, we have a strong community on Patreon. And yeah, you're right. This is just a billboard. YouTube should be a billboard for the thing that you sell. Now, if you're a comedian, that could be tickets. If you're a musician, that could be songs. If you're a fashion personality, it could be clothes, whatever it might be. But yeah, I mean, we're reaching this point where celebrity is becoming such an interestingly like sparse phenomenon. Like the way people are sort of tuning into the people that they watch and admire, their audiences are becoming smaller, but they're becoming more niche. So in this age of like this vast amount of niche micro creator that really appeals to some specific thing about your personality, that engagement and honestly like a way of sustaining that life can only come by selling something to these people, right?
Yeah.
You're giving them a quality piece of content, sure, but at the same time you also need to create this parasocial relationship as well that is quantified essentially through the selling of this product. And ultimately that's that's like the biggest testament for where you are as a creator and what your community represents.
No, for sure. I think like everybody who says like, oh, I have an audience, right? Like, yo, I don't care if like I say this on a smaller scale, right? Like we're not even talking about like the Schultzes and the Charlemagnes of the world. I'm talking about like I see people with like 20,000 followers, 30,000 followers. I was like, yeah, but what does that really mean though, right? Because I also know somebody who has like a Twitch stream that has 1,000 followers or 100 followers, but their 100 followers are paying them $15 a month.
Yeah.
To do whatever the fuck they do.
Yeah.
Is that not more valuable as of an audience?
I mean,
because anybody could just watch, right?
You know what the best thing about being South Asian is?
What?
We have the audience with the most amount of disposable income.
Bro, you're talking about my value prop for this entire platform, bro. Like, yo, like I see it because I see like, and this is like the coolest part about like me trying to build this out. I see like OGs with like real money.
Yeah.
Look at it like, yo, kid, keep building, right? Because like they have, because we think like obviously like we're the generation of like there's going to be like a lot of South Asian creators, but there is a generation before us that there are creators, right?
Of course.
And like they probably never got to take it as big as they wanted to because again, just like
we're just walking down the path they paved, right?
Yeah, right.
And we're lucky that they were there to break the boundaries in the initial and allow us to become more of a mainstream thing.
Yeah.
And, you know, shout out to South Asians. Like, we are fucking killing it over here.
Yeah. Not even just like people, right? Like, you have to like give props to the people who blazed the trail for you, right? Like, that's why I speak with such an affinity for like a Schulz or for like an Alex. I'm like, yo, yeah, if y'all didn't figure this all out, like even this, like just think about this studio, right? If this isn't a thing, I can't do this at this level. Even whatever level this is, just the quality of like how it looks and everything, it's only a testament because they set it up. When they were coming up, podcast studios weren't a thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There was like regular music studios, right? Like Joe Budden started in the middle of a music studio, right? Somebody's studio.
Radio
it didn't look like this.
Yeah.
Because y'all blazed it, I can do this in a comfy ass, like whatever, right? Like it, and I think that we don't give enough of that to like our like OGs, our trailblazers, where it's like, yo, y'all really built this.
No, because it's fucking there's a economy for clicks, right? Like you can shit on them and get clicks. That's another thing. That's the fucking toxic culture that we live in.
Do you notice that as a creator that's what gets virality or that's what gets?
Well, look, the fact that people are talking about you is in itself a testament to the work that you're doing, regardless of whether it's positive or negative. You know, the fact that you've created an ecosystem where people feel the need to take time out of their day and energy out of their brain to really come up with an opinion and like have feelings. They either hate you or love you, but you know, they feel something for you.
Yeah, I had to like reshape around like we put out a clip last week with somebody who he was on like a dating show and like I like just, you know, had him on
Nikhil,
right? Nikhil.
Yeah.
I had him like elaborate on his point. And I like it kind of like at first I was upset. I was like, damn, these people are really angry at this. But then I was like, damn, they cared enough about this like piece of content to go say something.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, oh shit, like this is like
an engagement. You're making people feel something, and that's what we're in this business for, right? That's what art is. We're just trying to make people feel some shit.
Yeah, right. Like trying to.
That's crazy.
Nah, like I think that's like the craziest like feeling because you're just like, oh, like that is really like I was telling like my therapist, like that was the thing that like got me. Like I was like, oh shit, I created something that people even if it was for 5 seconds, gave a fuck about. And you know what I'm saying? Like 5 minutes to even give a fuck about. Like, cause like in this day and age where there's so much things to do, so much consumption, me being able to carve out just a small 5.
Which is why it's crazy that Martin Scorsese thinks that he can get 3.5 hours from everyone.
Here's the thing. He's still going to get 3.5 from me.
7 from me, dude. But like...
You watched it twice?
Come on, I'm waiting for it to come out on Apple TV Plus now. Like, I need to analyze every aspect of it. No, but...
It was really that good? I'm a huge movie buff. I haven't seen it, but like I've been like so busy.
Dude.
No?
Masterpiece. I mean, Vida and I were talking about it. Leo boofed it, dude.
Really?
I thought he was good. Like, he was great. But the way, you know, everyone else stepped up to the plate. De Niro was awesome.
Yeah.
De Niro was fucking incredible. Scorsese directed the shit out of that film.
The De Niro...
The score is great. The cinematography is beautiful. The production design is immense. It's gorgeous. But
you're like a real movie guy. Let me hear your top movie. Top 3.
Top 3 movies. My favorite movie of all time is The Death of Stalin.
Unfamiliar.
It's
Put me on.
Armando Iannucci. He's the guy that created Veep. He made like an absurdist satire of the moments after what happened when Stalin died and the jostle for power of who takes over. And Steve Buscemi's in it, and like a couple other like big character actors in comedy and stuff. And he's very British about it. It's like a British workplace comedy, but set in Soviet Russia.
Interesting.
And it's so funny.
All right, give me 2 and 3.
2 and 3. Ocean's 11.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ocean's 11 came out on my birthday. I was 2 years old when it came out. And my parents took me to watch it, I'm pretty sure. And I've watched it definitely every year since. God bless that movie. And I don't know, number 3, maybe Aaron Brockovich. I firmly believe Julia Roberts is the greatest actor of all time. Like, male, female, anything in between. Julia Roberts is the greatest actor of all time.
Really?
Greatest actor.
Wait, y'all both feel that way? Wolf's over there like, facts, really?
Greatest actor of all time.
I would have to sit down and like really think about that and like maybe argue.
All time.
Huh?
All time.
I would have to go through. Like, bro, like, De Niro is pretty good.
All time. Julia Roberts.
That's such a
Aaron Brockovich.
You know who my sleeper pick would be? Y'all are gonna laugh at this. My sleeper pick would be Tom Hanks.
Yeah, of course. Tom Hanks is great. Yeah.
No, but that would be. You don't think that's like because like I rewatched Forrest Gump this past weekend, and that's probably why I'm thinking that because bro, that man is so good.
Tom Hanks is awesome. He's amazing. But to me, you're never gonna rattle my belief. Julia Roberts is the greatest actor of all time. Dude, I watched Eat, Pray, Love, and it's a movie about a white person going to India and getting another white person's help. That's made for me to hate.
Yeah, I feel like that's what got you though.
Hate it. I'm supposed to hate it.
I feel like you were like, damn, India in a major market movie? Yeah, this is Julia Roberts.
Julia Roberts is Hindu, by the way, you know?
This is becoming more and more biased.
Krishna Balram, dude. Like, how am I not supposed to love her?
Okay. Yeah, well, what's your reason? Because we found out Shubh's reason for saying that. Yo, that's so crazy.
She just sees the light, you know?
Yo, Shubh, I do this thing on the podcast where I ask people to call their shot. It's like my version of like basically trying to like manifest, right? Where you say, hey, I'm going to do this in 3 to 5 years, right? Whatever your timeline that you want to say. Because I've had things that I've said didn't happen on the time that I wanted it, but did happen, right? So I want to ask you like, Shubh, like, yo, call your shot, something.
3 to 5 years, I want to make a World War II movie, feature film, about 3 Indian soldiers that get lost behind enemy lines in the European phase of battle.
That is very specific, and that makes me very happy because that means that's like a real like thought in your head, right? Like you go make that happen.
We've started working on it.
Amazing. Yeah, that's what I like to hear. Oh, you're like working because this is on top of the other movie that you're acting in, right?
We're editing that right now. We're coming up with the assembly cut on that, and that's going to be a fucking fantastic film. Vinay wrote the shit out of it. He directed the shit out of it. It's such a great and important story. It's about his experiences working for this notorious, abusive, EGOT-winning super producer, right? I'm not going to say who, but he's done a lot of huge things, but he was just a horrible person. He'd be throwing keyboards and phones and staplers in the middle of the day. Like it's a Wednesday. He's just throwing something through a window. But getting that experience, seeing that, and then Vinay coming out and writing a script for it. He shopped it as a pilot, didn't really come to fruition, but then he put his blood, sweat, and tears, and honestly his money as well, into creating this such a beautiful project that so many people came together to work towards. Like our chief lighting director, he did Knives Out most recently. He did Don't Look Up. He's done like big feature films. Our DP is a fucking wizard with the camera. He's so good, and we're bringing these hungry people, that aren't necessarily at that level yet where, they're getting big projects, but want to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And all of us have the same mindset, and that coming together, everyone from the producers.
It's like, let's get to work. Let's build this portfolio. Let's make this big.
It's so awesome to see everyone believe in something like that.
Yeah.
And, it's a testament to Vinay for bringing this team together. It's a beautiful film. It's so well done. I had such a great fucking time acting in it.
Yeah, I am so excited. So when can we see it?
2024.
2024?
2024, yeah. Early 2024.
That is so fire. I'm like, so like, yo, again, like meeting you, right? Like I see it, like it's real, right? It's like, I'm so excited. Like I know I said this before. I'm just so excited to see what y'all do with it and whichever, whether it's comedy, whether it's with podcasting, whether it's with acting. Like I'm so excited because like, I know, like I see it and I'm just like, oh, he's just going to keep going. And that's like the most exciting thing to see.
I mean, it's, I have to give the flowers to everyone at Flagrant for giving me the opportunity to really be able to expand my horizons and be able to work with the people that I want to be working with and put me in a position to really get what I want.
I think it's so important to like see those people like close to you because I think like as like mere mortals, right? We look at those people like, yo, like we'll never, but you get to see them. They're like tangible people. They're like really just people just doing the work, right? Like we think of them as like these like, bro, they're just people doing the work, right? People doing whatever it takes to make whatever it is and bro, so excited, like so excited.
And I'm excited for you, man. This is awesome. Like I love this idea, this podcast. You described it in the elevator as I hate saying elevator. I say lift. It's a lift. I become Americanized. I don't like it. You were talking to someone in the lift and you were explaining how this is like a breakfast club type deal for South Asians. And, I was talking to Vinay about this. There's a space that's unoccupied right now within this South Asian community, like a voice that needs to be filled. Someone that, brings a culture together. Right now, we're really fragmented. There's the Hollywood Illuminati, there's the New York people, there's the people that are in the techno scene, et cetera, fashion guys. But it's all segmented. We need to get that unity in the South Asian scene.
And I see like there's so many people doing that. It's just like, yo, like you're working with somebody who's like, you know what I'm saying? Like we are coming like naturally together. Yeah. And that's like the most exciting thing, right? Because it's like, yo, we see each other and we're just like, yo, no, I got it, right? Like I be going to like a lot of the like New York City events and it's crazy. It's like, the chai is from Calcutta. Yeah. It's catered by Namkeen, right? But it's a clothing brand pop-up. It's like all fused together. And it's like, oh no, we're finding each other, right? Mm-hmm. And as each of us get better at this, right? We'll collectively, as a collective, like hopefully get better, right? Like seeing an Aakash and a Nimesh and like these guys like building, right? Hassan like building. Like again, that's one specific industry. We need a bunch more of those in all different pockets, right? We need South Asian directors to be doing this. We need South Asian actors to be doing this, right? Like we need the infrastructure to come up.
And that's the beautiful thing about all of us. We help each other.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that other people don't. I'm sure
no, of course, right? Yeah, but community. Your community, like everybody has a community, right? Like you have to go find your community. Like if you want to be in a silo, like you can build your silo life, right? But if you want to be a part of a community, you have to build that community, right?
I mean, until 2024, when the Cricket World Cup comes to the US and we're all segmented again.
That's gonna be rough. That's gonna be rough.
That's what's gonna happen, dude.
That's gonna be rough.
Rumors that the India-Pakistan game is gonna be in Long Island, so
somebody in marketing planned that. They're like, yo, where can we put? Dude, there's gonna be a bunch of Indians.
I mean, they're not gonna do it in Trinidad and Tobago, right? Like,
It
has to be over here.
It has to be
right here in New Jersey.
Yeah. Edison. If they build a stadium in Edison to have the Cricket World Cup, I will lose it.
Temple, I mean, they've got to be able to.
Yeah, honestly,
dude, that temple is huge. It's awesome. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
People don't talk about Indian architecture in like that same level as just other European nations or whatever that might be. Indian architecture is gorgeous. You don't really have, and that's like the thing about your culture. You when you're a kid, you're like, oh, what is this? This is just smelly food and
You only get associated with the bad things, but that's just the Westernification. Westernification, I just made that up. Westernification of like culture, right? Because everything that's not within the regular, like, deemed by West, like, cool. We just start, because we grew up here, they start to shit on it a little bit, right? But eventually you change that narrative, right? Like where it's like, like, I don't need y'all to validate this, right? Like this is cool, right?
There's also the aspect of distance, like growing up. I grew up in India for the first 10 years of my childhood.
Mm-hmm.
Like being there, you're like, I don't want to be associated with anything. Everything is so much cooler in America because that's where pop culture is. But then you come here and you're like, I mean, it's cool, right? But we came from such long, storied histories of tradition, like 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 years old. Do you ever look into your heritage and like what Bangladesh's history and like that?
A little bit, probably not as much as I should. Like my dad's like really good about like telling me some of those things, and then like as I like sit and if I ever get a chance to like talk to like older like folks, like and they'll like put me on game, but it's like probably not as much as I should.
Fair enough, dude. I mean, this is our version of like white dudes learning about World War II, right? Like we just fucking fall into the culture hole.
Yeah, no, and again, I think like that is like a big thing because like as we now later and later generations, you still want to hold some affinity for your culture, right? Because then you just become
I want my kids,
the monolith.
I want my kids to grow up speaking 2 languages. I want them to speak 3 languages: English, Hindi, and then another language with their mom, so that we can have a bitching session over here in one language. They can go and have a bitching session in their language. Then we all come together at dinner and like they're speaking English. And if they want to talk shit about you in the middle of the dinner table, they switch languages. I find that so cool. I would find that awesome.
Awesome. Yo, I think we're wrapping up, but yo, Shubh, really appreciate this, bro. Really enjoyed our conversation.
Hey, man. Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely.
This is awesome.
We're good, guys?